talk to you.
Okay, we're live, we're back, it's Thursday. Whoa, the week, where does she go? Okay, we have Justine Herrera with us, she's an attorney. She's with an organization called Volunteer Legal Services, which is funded at least in part by Aloha United Way, and that's why she's here, because this is the Aloha United Way show every Thursday at noon. In fact, we call this Aloha United We Stand. I've been thinking about that name. It's a fabulous name.
It really
means
is.
so much.
Yeah, it does. It does. When I was thinking about today's show, I was looking at the name too and thinking, oh, what a great name to come out for this organization and this great process that we're helping to reach out to people.
So give us a minute or two, or maybe 45 if you like, on your own background, Justine.
Well, I'm a recent graduate from the William S. Richardson School of Law, class of 2013. I discovered volunteer legal services as a law student, actually interning at one of their pop-up legal clinics. And I happened to attend the one based around veteran services that we hosted for Veterans Day many years ago, and was really intrigued as a law student by the amount of good these attorneys do by committing their time to do pro bono. And when I saw that they had an opening, I applied and was very happy that they selected me to join the team. And now I'm the program manager. I also do, I'm a staff attorney there as well, but helping basically establish all of our programs at Volunteer Legal Services, because we do have a numerous amount of programs that we host to provide civil legal services to low-income individuals and even moderate-income individuals as well.
Aside from Aloha United Way, where do you get your money to operate?
Majority of our funding comes from the state. So we typically get funding from the state legislator as well as the judiciary.
You're not working for any particular agency?
No, we get funding from the legislator typically, as well as the judiciary. And then we also receive grants from just various organizations around the community that we apply for.
And how many attorneys, I mean, I know it's an expanding, contracting organism, but how many attorneys generally are working?
Generally, so we work with volunteer attorneys. Our base group is volunteer attorneys.
Mahalo for watching ThinkTech
Based on the
Hawaii.
different programs we
We're
run
a
is how
channel
many attorneys we
dedicated
have. I would say
to
our pool
raise-
is around 250
Mahalo for watching
attorneys.
ThinkTech
Not all of them
Hawaii.
are actively
We're
working.
a channel
Some
dedicated
of them may have picked up
to
the case
raising
5
public
years ago
awareness
and are
about the
still
importance of
representing the
technology.
people through that case, so that may be their
Mahalo for
only
watching
case that they work
ThinkTech
on.
Hawaii.
But
We're a
we have
channel
about
dedicated
100 to 150 attorneys that volunteer on a regular basis throughout the year, either doing our advice and counsel clinics, our pop-up legal clinics, our neighborhood clinics, full representation cases, brief service cases, our veterans benefits program. So we have a lot of
Mahalo for
different
watching.
areas, and we're actually just starting our appellate project with the Supreme Court, where we're helping pro ses get through the appeals process, either at the Intermediate Court of Appeals level or at the Supreme Court level. So we're just kind of exploring that new area and to work with the judiciary to kind of see if we can help out in that level of legal services.
Wow.
So maybe that will open our
Hi,
pool up and we'll
I'm
get
Jay
more
Fidell.
attorneys who
I'm
can
the
do
host of
appeals
Light.
works.
Are you doing more now than you were when you started? I mean, the organization.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we're constantly looking to, find new opportunities to grow. Our Veterans Benefits Program is something that we just established within the last, I want to say year, if not 2 years, that we've been working on this program. And we're actually the only organization right now that's doing veterans benefits pro bono. And so we have a group of attorneys. We hold continuing legal education classes to help with veterans benefits appeals. You need to be certified by the VA board. So in order to be certified, you have to submit an application and then take a continuing education course. So we're the only organization that provides that continuing education course too, because we want to be able to make sure that we have enough attorneys that are accredited to help the veterans who need assistance filling out or appealing their claim.
Yeah. How old is the organization itself?
Volunteer Legal, it has had an interesting history in the name. I want to say we're about to turn 30 next year. Throughout our history, we were originally called Hawaii Lawyers Care. And then I'm not too sure what year our name changed to Volunteer Legal Services.
I like this name.
Volunteer Legal Services?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so And for years and years, I followed the, what do you call it? What do you call the other organization now?
Legal Aid?
Legal Aid.
Legal Aid, yes.
Legal Aid.
Legal Aid Society of Hawaii.
And Legal Aid was, played a role in the landscape.
Yes.
And who organizes Legal Aid, and how are they different from what you do?
So Legal Aid, we consider one of our sister organizations.
Do you ever refer cases to them? or
Yes,
back from them?
absolutely, absolutely. We work kind of collaboratively. There are certain areas that we don't cover that they cover, and then there are certain areas that we cover that they don't cover. The main difference...
Areas of
practice, yeah. So volunteer legal, we have our veterans program. We have another program that helps people who have outstanding bench warrants and tickets, and to help them do community service in lieu of paying the ticket amount. Versus Legal Aid or LASH, they do different types of benefits that we don't do. So the housing issues, the Section 8 housing, they do that. They do Social Security and any other benefits, excluding veterans benefits.
Is that because they have staff attorneys and you don't?
Yes.
And you need a certain amount of expertise in the area, for example, in housing?
Yes, and it also relates to funding. They receive federal funding for a lot of their programs that relate to, Section 8 or Social Security benefits. We rely mainly on state funding, so we're not under the same constraints that they may have.
Not every state has a program like
Exactly.
volunteer.
Yeah, our program is modeled after a pro bono program. So we essentially have two clients. We have our attorneys who volunteer with us, and they're utilizing our service to get their pro bono hours. In the state of Hawaii, as you know, we have a pro bono 50-hour recommendation for all attorneys to complete 50 hours of pro bono throughout the year.
So if a lawyer wants, he can apply to you and say, I'd like to do my pro bono obligation or suggestion.
Yes.
What do you call it? Suggestion. With volunteer legal services,
Yes.
and then you'll make a place for him.
Exactly, yeah.
Suppose you worry about him as a practicing. What happens then?
Well, with either we have an emerging attorney program for our new attorneys who are, fresh off the bar and want to just jump right into it. So we have an emerging attorney program for those attorneys, and maybe who even are senior attorneys that may not have experience in a certain area of law. Our emerging attorney can also cover them as well, and that allows them to work with other attorneys as mentors who may be more experienced in that area of law. We'll put on CLE courses. If we don't have a set scheduled CLE or continuing education course, then we would invite them into our office to provide them with some sort of basic training. And then we have some cases that are, pretty hard to mess up that we will give to our newer attorneys that are mainly form-based, and then we have a supervisor attorney review all the documents before anything is
Also
filed.
volunteer.
We have myself and another attorney that are
Hi, I'm
staff
Donna
that
Blanche.
we can, review documents if necessary. But if we have another staff that's willing
Hi,
to
I'm Donna
mentor,
Blanchard. I'm the
absolutely,
host
we
of
try to
Center
use our
Stage here on
volunteers as much
ThinkTech
as
Hawaii.
possible.
Center Stage airs every Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a law firm, and the organization itself must follow what's going on out there. They don't have to
Hi,
do the
I'm
work,
Chris
but,
Leatham,
that's
and I'd like
the
to-
person doing the work,
Yeah,
but they need to know what's going on.
exactly.
And, of course, and correct errors, and guide, and mentor, and advice and consultation, what have you. Good experience for everybody.
It is, it really is. So, we get the benefit of the younger attorneys
Hi,
who
I'm
just
Chris
want
Leatham,
experience, that we
and
can
I'd like
provide them
to
with that
invite-
experience. And then also, as an older
Mahalo
attorney, if
for
you're
watching
mentoring a
ThinkTech.
young, student, that's also pro bono hours.
I
So
see.
that is also giving back by mentoring maybe a young attorney who's just wanting to learn. So that's another way that they can contribute without maybe doing direct client representation.
Okay, so now in the community of Hawaii Bar Association, there must be, I don't know, I would guess just short of 10,000 lawyers.
I think we're over that.
Over that?
Yeah.
I haven't been following. Let's assume it's-
I know the bar numbers are past the
let's
10
assume you're
something.
right. And I guess my question is, what part of that body of lawyers will be your volunteers? Is it from the big firms? Is it from the little firms? Is it from the in-house counsel guys? Is it from the government? Is it from the law school? Where are they from?
From everywhere, actually. So we have great partnerships with some of the top firms downtown that contribute either their, their associates or their office space for us to use during CLE conferences or whatever. So the big firms have been great supporters. Right now, Goodsill is one of our top supporters. They send over one volunteer attorney every month to volunteer at our clinic. McCorst and Miller, they're right now sponsoring our senior legal checkup that we're doing, where we're going into churches and different facilities to give advice about Advanced Healthcare Directive to our senior citizens. So they're another partner in helping doing outreach in the community. So we have a lot of support from some great top firms. We also work with solar practitioners. I would say that they're some of the bread and butter of our attorneys that kind of come in after they're done with their work to donate their time to do pro bono and help our clients. We work with attorneys on outer islands, so we're going to be flying to Maui next month, and we have 4 volunteer attorneys from Maui.
Who stay there?
Who are Maui attorneys?
Work there, Maui attorneys.
Maui attorneys who are going to be helping support the Maui community. And we're holding a clinic at the Maui Economic Opportunity Family Center in Wailuku. And so we're actually going to have a physical presence on Maui, which is fantastic. And we've been lucky enough to do this under a grant from Hawaii Community Foundation. Part of our DACA, which is Deferred Action for Childhood Removal, our immigration push. So part of that is we host an informational session on DACA and DAPA, these 2 programs presented by President Obama to provide a pathway for undocumented, the dreamers, those that were brought into the United States as children, to help them get a worker permit so that they can actually work legally here in the country. It's not a path to citizenship, but it's a way for them to, at least be able to contribute back to society by getting a job and being able to have a social security number, get a driver's license, apply for college. So we're out on Maui giving presentations to the community about how they can apply for DACA, and we work with a fantastic volunteer attorney, immigration attorney there, Kevin Block, who not only helps with our presentations every other month there, but helps with, advising individuals about their immigration issues. And then on the other side,
do you do immigration in general?
We don't.
Or just in a special program?
Just that special program of DACA is the only immigration-based program. But because we don't receive federal funding, similar to, like we were saying, legal aid receives federal funding, we don't. So we can actually help undocumented individuals in family law, in their landlord-tenant issues. So legal aid is, because they receive that federal funding, they're not allowed to, with that funding, be able to help the undocumented immigrants. So we only receive state funding, which kind of removes some of those barriers so that we can actually assist undocumented with their, not necessarily their immigration issue, unless it's falling under the DACA umbrella, but for, if they have a housing issue where they're being discriminated against because of their undocumented status, or, just because they're undocumented doesn't mean that they have family issues, like,
Sure.
child divorce, child.
Representative divorces.
Exactly, yes. So we're able to assist undocumented individuals. So
But
they're
also regular people.
and of course, citizen, documented, undocumented, we don't discriminate. And luckily, we don't have any barriers.
How about criminal things? Do you do any of that?
We don't do any criminal matters, mainly because the Public Defender's Office is the one that's going to take care of most of the criminal matters for the low-income individuals. The only thing that we have that runs close to a criminal matter would be our driver's license ticket program, which does deal with some bench warrants for outstanding and missed court dates due to, let's say, driving without your license. If you didn't show up for your court date, you may have a bench warrant out there. So for those situations where they have outstanding tickets, outstanding bench warrants due to missed court dates, we will help either set a new court date for them, or we'll help convert that to community service if they're unable to afford it.
Yeah, which they wouldn't know how to do themselves.
Exactly, and it's a really great program.
I
I mean, it's a great program because, it's not like they would, we're dealing with the low income here, so it's not like they'll be able to really pay off all those tickets in the long run anyway. And it puts a stopper on their license. And if you don't have a license, a lot of that time, that means you can't get a job. A lot of the unions, a lot of the labor unions, they require some sort of driver's license to get employed.
Sure.
So by helping them do the community service in lieu of paying, they can get their license back, hopefully get a job through that. We've had some successful people go through our program and been able to tell us that they were able to gain employment because we were able to help them clear their licenses. We had a veteran go through our program.
You're going through all the programs now.
I am. I'm sorry. Am I going too
I'm
fast?
going to take them one by one.
All right.
Let's take them right after this break. We're going to take
Okay.
a short break, and then we'll be back. You'll see. This is Justine Herrera. She's a program manager. Is that your
Yes,
title?
that is my title.
At Volunteer Legal Services, which does legal services for a lot of people,
Yeah.
using volunteer lawyers. Here on United We Stand, talking about equal access to legal services. So we talk about the programs, we talk about the concept, the mission, how it impacts our society. I want all of that from you, Justine. We'll be right back.
Mahalo for watching ThinkTech Hawaii. We are a channel dedicated to raising public awareness about the importance of technology, energy, diversification, and globalism to the future of Hawaii. We broadcast and stream daily from 1 to 5 every weekday, and we broadcast on Olelo 54 and OC16 TV. All of our shows are archived on thinktechhawaii.com, and we hope to see you there. Aloha.
Hi, I'm Ethan Allen. I'm the host of Likeable Science on ThinkTech Hawaii. We talk about why people should like science, why science is actually fun, how science is a dynamic and vital part of everyone's life, why everyone, every man, woman, and child on the planet should really know science, should love science, should be familiar with science. So it's a great show. People come on here and have interesting conversations with us. They tell us why they do what they do, why they love it, why we should love it too. I hope you'll join us every Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. And of course, you can see it anytime on YouTube. Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We're live. That's Justine Herrera. She's an attorney. Volunteer Legal Services, which is a nonprofit.
Yes.
That gets money from various sources. And that, what did you say, that you were integrated somehow with the Legal Aid Society?
We were sister organizations, so we help each other out in terms of cross referrals to different to each other to make sure that people are getting the right services.
Yeah. Well, the intake must be very interesting. And, before you take a case, before you go find one of your volunteers, to actually take that case, you probably have some parameters. And what are they? When I walk in the door, so help me, I got a legal problem, help me. So what do you say? What questions do you ask me?
So first thing we do is we make sure our clients understand that we work with volunteer attorneys. So we don't guarantee representation. We're not the organization to go if you want someone standing in court next to you. So we work with volunteer attorneys, so we provide at the very foremost level of service is our advice and counsel clinics. So we explain to the clients that we won't be representing you necessarily just yet, but the first thing we want you to do is talk to an attorney to see how we can advise you and what kind of counseling can we give you to pursue.
So the clinic is like an intake thing.
Yes. So we just want to let them know, so we don't want to get their expectations up that we're going to be representing them. So that's the first thing we tell our clients when they walk in the door. The second thing we do is we go through our intake process. So our intake process is about a 20-minute, 30-minute period of time, depending on your case, how much documents you have in front of you, that we can get all the information we need from you. And then we do two things. First of all, we find out, is this an area of law that we can assist you with? So the area of laws that we cover are our family law, our general family law topics, so divorce, custody, adoptions, guardianships of minors.
The whole gamut, isn't it?
The whole gamut of family law issues. The next things that we do that we see quite a bit of would be, we do basic estate planning work. So we draft wills, powers of attorneys, as well as advanced healthcare directives. And we'll advise on trusts, but we don't actually draft the trust for people's.
Generation skipping trust.
So we typically don't do that, mainly because we're income qualified. So that's the next step. But we will advise people if they have questions on whether a will or a trust is better for them. We're still going to be able to give them advice on that. We just won't be doing the actual physical drafting of the trust. But a simple will we can draft. And then the other levels of service or areas of law that we do would be our district court areas, which are our landlord-tenant, collections, small claims. We do Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and then we have our veterans benefits section. So we make sure that when they walk in the door, they have one of the legal issues that fall within one of the categories that we can assist them with. And
Usually
then,
these are, it sounds like this array of possibilities is for disadvantaged people, economically disadvantaged.
yes.
They don't have a lot of money. They couldn't pay a lawyer if
Yeah.
they, but if you find they do have money, what happens? You're not gonna take that.
Well, so we income qualify them. So we go up to 250% of the federal poverty guideline to assist our clients.
What does that come to?
So that's a single individual making a little bit more than $33,000 a year, a family of 4 making a little bit more than $69,000 a year. So that's our general guidelines, and the amount, fluctuates with how many individuals.
That leaves a lot of people actually in the state,
That does.
that guideline.
That 250% is, we consider ourselves helping not only the low income, but the moderate income,
Yeah.
because a majority of our population falls within that
It's
250%.
interesting how, pardon me for digressing,
No.
but it's interesting how the legal business has, and so, there's some lawyers who don't make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
There's some lawyers whose hourly rates or whatever their rate schedule is pretty low
Mm-hmm.
anyway. They're not legal aid or volunteer legal services, but they don't make a lot of money. It's interesting how, for the most part, however, they, practicing the industry of practicing lawyers has priced itself out of the market that you're talking about. Most lawyers practicing, trying to pay the rent, it wouldn't help. They wouldn't be able to help this group. So have a kind of dichotomy between the rich and the poor. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's the old story.
I mean, someone making $33,000 a year, that's not enough to hire an attorney, pay your rent,
Yeah.
cover your food costs,
Right.
transportation, if you have children, childcare, it's that 250%, it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. And it does encompass a huge population here in Honolulu as well as the Outer Islands.
So you have any idea how many people fall within that category?
I don't.
In numbers?
I don't have those numbers, but it is a high majority. We rarely turn people away due to their income. We do have an asset limit of $8,000, which is waivable for senior citizens.
So if I have a house, I'm not.
If you have a house and you're currently living in it, we don't count that asset against you. If you're renting another house elsewhere,
starts to get
we're starting to
dicey.
get a little bit into, your asset levels. For seniors, we don't count their assets against them. If they have their savings from, all their years and now they're just on a Social Security income, we're not going to count that against them because, our seniors, we give them some leeway in that we don't want to penalize them for doing the right thing throughout their life and saving, but at the same time, they're on a limited income. So it is waivable to some extent, the income lines.
You're not hard about it.
We're not hard about it,
I
no.
wouldn't be hard either. I mean, you are a charitable organization and you're there for part of the social safety net essentially. But what strikes me though is that more and more, I'd be interested in your thought about this, more and more we have two societies in Hawaii. With the, middle class, I use that term because it's subject to definition these
Yeah.
days, and upper class, and then you have everybody else who is at risk and who need help. And you're part of hundreds of charities that help them, because if you weren't around, but let me ask you this is an interesting social policy question. If you weren't around, what would happen?
Well, a lot of people wouldn't be able to receive basic assistance for civil legal services. Legal Aid, who is our counterpart and our sister organization, they act as a law firm, so they hold internally conflicts of interest, which I know you may be a little bit more familiar with the conflicts of interest, but that essentially means that a husband and wife can't both go to Legal Aid for their divorce. Whoever gets there first gets there.
So one is in legal aid and one is in volunteer
Legal.
legal services.
Exactly. So
That's
without
perfect.
us, we're
Now I understand about
the sister organization.
Sister organization.
But because we work with volunteer attorneys, we can actually see a husband and wife going through a similar divorce. If we put husband with attorney A, who works at a private firm, and wife with attorney B, who works at one of the big top firms, schedule them on different nights, make sure they never see each other. We hold no conflicts as long as, our staff attorneys who are reviewing all the cases aren't representing them. So we not only provide that, the yin and the yang for the legal aid society, we provide that alternate for people who maybe are overqualified for legal aid. So then both parties can come to us. Of course, we would never tell them that both parties are located within our office. That's part of our confidentiality. We don't inform them,
No
but,
good.
but that doesn't prevent us from helping them.
Suppose one of them, you could never represent him. He's got too much money. And his wife, the way the marriage worked, she doesn't have any money. He separated the money from his wife somehow. Happens.
Military spouses, we see that common, yeah.
You could take that case on behalf of the wife.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
you couldn't take the case on behalf of the husband.
No, we would
Fair is fair.
kindly let the husband know that he's overqualified and provide him with a referral. So, if they are overqualified, if we can't help them, then we have a list of referrals that we can provide them. So we don't just send them out the door with nothing. We make sure that they at least have a number to call or a place to go to where, they may not be able to get free legal services. It may be a reduced price for, some sort of representation, but at least they have another place that they can go to.
Well, suppose, I'm just taking my case study here. Suppose the husband has a lot of money, okay, and the volunteer lawyer, he knows that, you can make a pretty interesting recovery in a divorce case where there's a disparity or an unfairness of some kind. You can even that out. And not only that, but you can get your attorney's fees. Okay, now he's supposed to be a volunteer, but his client has a right to recover fees, maybe substantial fees, because this could be one of those cases. Okay, what happens? Does he then charge a fee, recover a fee? If he does he keep it? Does he give it to his client? Does he give it to you? What happens?
Well, typically, if they're coming to us and we find out during that advice and counsel level that it's a potential fee-generating case, we may not take it further than we may just end it, our representation, and tell them that, you have a really good case where you could get a good chunk of money and your attorney's fees covered. So, you may prefer to go the route of hiring a private attorney.
You would refer them.
We would refer them out.
And you would give them a list.
Yes, exactly.
And you would try to get them with the right attorney.
Yeah, so we've been able to help clients through, let's say, their collection issue, and at the end of their collection issue, they found out, there's a probate that potentially could get them a large sum of money. We will happily handle that collection issue and then refer them for the other issue to a paid attorney who can not only get their attorney's fees paid for by the process, but also, the clients, they get their money that way.
So it's full service.
It is full
You're
service.
acting like a real
And that
lawyer law firm.
that advice and counsel area is really an area for our volunteer attorneys to kind of assess what type of case it is. Is it a case where, let's say, it is a fee-generating case, then maybe we shouldn't, keep them within volunteer legal services and we should refer them out. And additionally, is this a case that has merit, that maybe this person, there's some sort of, access to justice issue, that this person really needs representation in court? Then we'll put them through to our full representation program where we'll try to find an attorney to actually represent them in court.
Sometimes it may be hard. See that word I wrote in my notes? I think I spelled it wrong, but I think the word is cockamamie. I think it's with a C.
I think so. I think it's with the C too, but I'll take your spelling.
Suppose, and this does happen, I'm sure it happens with every lawyer, suppose you get a visit one day from somebody who has a cockamamie case, really bad case, crazy, irrational case. I mean, after all, what did Jim Duffy say in the little movie we made? You got three kinds of healers in the world. You got the doctors, you got the ministry, they help people, heal them, whatnot. And you got the lawyers, and the lawyers are the peacemakers. We closed the movie with that. So, and so the lawyers draw everybody. The lawyers have a special role in our society, and sometimes they draw people with cockamamie cases. What do you do when you have somebody out there in the clinic who has a cockamamie case?
Well, that's where the staff attorneys come in. If we have a difficult case, we know that there, is one of those cases where we're flat out going to tell the client, no, you can't get what you're asking for. that's where our staff attorneys will come in, and we'll take the case so that one of our volunteer attorneys who are graciously donating their time aren't dealt with a unhappy client who may not be pleased with the news that they're getting. So we definitely flag some cases and set them aside for one of our staff attorneys to handle and meet with, so that we don't have our volunteer attorneys experience, as you say, the cockamamie case. So, you know, we definitely have our process in terms of dealing with cases that we know right off the bat after the intake that there's no merit, we're going to deal with an angry client, and it happens. But we still want to be able to advise them, you know, whether their advice is, hey, you've got a great case, or hey, you don't have a case, you know, that's still advice, and that's still important for the person to hear. So if we do know that it's a difficult client, if we do know that it's a little bit of a kooky case, that's when our staff attorneys jump in.
If you don't like my opinion about this, if you want to get a second opinion, go to the legal aid. I'm only kidding.
We don't do that.
I'm only kidding. Let's take a short break. That's Justine Herrera. She's a lawyer, and she's a program manager in the Volunteer Legal Services Organization, which is funded at least in part by United Aloha Way. That's why we call the show Aloha United We Stand, talking about equal access to legal services. And when we come back, I want to talk about two of my favorite, I guess, issues. Favorite is the wrong word. Two of the ones that dwell on my heart and brain a lot. One is the military, and the other is the homeless. And I guess the third category is the military and homeless.
Homeless, yes.
Right, we'll be right back. We'll see what she has to say about that.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on ThinkTech Hawaii. Center Stage airs every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and of course you can check out our archives on YouTube or on ThinkTech. Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on ThinkTech Hawaii. Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on ThinkTech Hawaii. Center Stage airs every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and of course you can check out our archives on YouTube or on ThinkTech Hawaii anytime you like. Why should you do that? Because this is an arts show that I believe is making a difference in lives. We talk with artists of various ilk. We talk with painters and writers, playwrights, novelists, poets, sculptors, dancers, you name it, directors, actors, of course. And we don't only talk about what people do, but we talk about how they do it. And my favorite part of the conversation, we talk about why they do it. And it's really common on this show to hear people say, wow, I didn't think about it that way. And it's very common to hear people afterwards who have seen the show say the same thing. And I hear all the time that people are inspired by the conversations that we have. So why don't you join us and be inspired too? That's Center Stage on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. We'll see you Center Stage.
Okay, we're here, we're exploring, you know, another part of the social safety net, really. It's that part that allows equal access to legal services in our community to people who are disadvantaged economically. With Justine Herrera, she's a lawyer with Volunteer Legal Services, and as I promised you, we're going to ask her about the military and the homeless military, which, you know, this is part of the same discussion, as I was saying during the break. It's just that this is the part that maybe tugs on your heartstring in another way, in a more profound way. But we have a you know, a growing problem in our community. Even if we didn't have military people who were disadvantaged, even if we didn't have homeless or the combination of the two, we still have this huge dichotomy, and we have to address it. And I'd like to offer a thought, you can respond if you like, is that this is a profound problem, this dichotomy, and it needs to be resolved. And there's a lot of social safety net organizations around. They sit at that chair every week, tell us about their programs like you do. But there are large things that have to be done to ameliorate the problem and query whether this is just totally rhetorical now. Are we doing them? The answer is probably in large part no. We're busy with other things. So you're serving a function, and you're helping to ameliorate a problem, but you're not actually solving the social problems on which these dichotomy problems arose. My thought. Comment?
Absolutely. I mean, this homeless issue, it's going to take the whole community to really make it a priority in order for us to see really any changes in what you see in Kaka'ako or what you see in Ala Park or the various different areas in Wahiwa. It's going to take the whole community, all of Hawaii, to kind of gather together to make this our priority, to treat these people like individuals and realize that they need help. It's not that they're there by choice for the most part. A lot of them have mental illnesses that may be preventing them from being able to get help. A lot of them, just don't understand that they may be able to get money from different areas to help them stabilize and get out of that homeless situation. It's a big problem, and it's something that all kind of hands-on approach needs to happen. So we were lucky enough to be brought in with IHS when the mayor came out with their proposal for Sand Island, and in our part with that, we go to IHS twice a month and actually have a physical presence there to do intake there. So we actually meet with veterans, homeless, whoever is in the shelter or nearby who wants to walk in. And we have two staff there, or one staff and one student intern. Diana Kim, she's our student intern right now. Her father was homeless, and that's been a big news story around the state, and I think it's been hitting the national level. So she's been assisting us at IHS as well to do intake, to meet with veterans, to make sure that they have a free cell phone if they need one, so that we can get a hold of them to find out, what
It's hard to represent a client who you can't find.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that they're at least getting some sort of stabilization assistance, and then we're part of that stabilization process. We're trying to figure out what can we do. Are you a veteran? Are you receiving benefits? Do you have your DD 214 paperwork so we can see how you were discharged? Have you applied for benefits and have you been denied? Have you appealed your benefits? This is, if they're a veteran, there is potential money out there to help them, remain stabilized and get housing.
It's a high leverage service.
It really is.
Because it's bad enough to be a veteran who has no money. Mm-hmm. It's worse to be a veteran who is homeless. But it's even worse to be a veteran who has no money and is homeless when he could have money and not be homeless. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people just don't know. I mean, there was one veteran that we met at IHS who had been living in and out of shelters for 10 years. And when we met him, we found out that he was eligible for veterans benefits all those 10 years. So, we were able to assist him in getting all of his files and getting his claim through.
What a great result. Ooh.
And, it's a success story. And now he has some sort of funding, to help him remain stabilized, hopefully. And that, is a big thing when you're able to get money from the government that you really deserve as a veteran. I mean, these people worked hard for that, for our country, and, they deserve our support. And a lot of them who have PTSD or don't know that they have PTSD, and that's maybe one of their barriers to getting assistance. It's about seeing that is an issue and then finding a way to get them help, whether that's bringing them to the VA and talking to the clinicians there at the VA center, or finding out, what other organization can we pair with to make sure that they're starting to get stabilized. And then once they get some sort of base stabilization, we can come in and help them to see what we can do in terms of, are there any options? Is there any funding available for them?
If they get funding, like the fellow who had retrospective funding maybe mm-hmm. for 10 years. Is that necessarily solve the problem? Because he'd been out of the loop for 10 years. It's not as if with a few bucks in his pocket, he's going to walk down the street and become a new man.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't named him or anything, but I just wonder what happened to him.
It doesn't solve the problem, but it helps. It helps his situation a lot better. The veterans who are getting some sort of assistance are in a much better place than those who are not getting any veterans benefits. Yeah. And so whether it changes his life forever and makes him, a contributing member to society, or it just gives him that safety net to know that he's not going to be homeless on the street.
Yeah. That's the problem. I mean, I think many with many homeless, and for that matter, veterans who find themselves homeless, is that it's kind of a scar on their lives, mm-hmm. and you can't get rid of it so quick. They have to rebuild their confidence and not be sucked into a kind of a perpetual inferiority complex
Yeah.
over it.
And it's a long process. I mean, dealing with the veterans, the VA is not easy in terms of requesting all their paperwork. A lot of them don't have their paperwork because, they were homeless, they lost everything. So a lot of it is requesting the paperwork from the VA, a lot of wait time.
And you can do that.
And we can do
you
that.
Have the typewriters.
We have
you
the
computers.
typewriters, we have the computer, we have a physical address, so if they don't have one, if they're in a shelter, we'll request their file to be sent to us, and then we'll keep it in a sealed area. And when they come in, it's their file, they review it, they take it home. If they want us to review it with them and pursue a claim, we will. If they don't want us to review it, it's their file. So we help them with whatever we can, even if it's just requesting their file for them, their C file. That's all that we may do. Some may go further. Some, may need pension help, and we may be able to assist them there and look to see, what options are out there for them. It's a complicated system, so it's
It
really
is.
nice to have an advocate and someone who knows the system
Yes.
to be able to know where to go, who to send the mail through, how to get the best response from the VA. And that's not something just a regular person, may be able to navigate through.
We should have this for people in general too. Well, we are. You're
We are,
providing it
yeah.
not just for homeless
No.
veterans, but all veterans.
Exactly.
I'm reminded, it's not the same situation, but it is a sort of it goes to the question of whether we as a community are doing enough. This morning, on the way here to see you, HPR had a story about Angela Merkel in Germany. There was a big issue about Syrians who had come. Migrants in Europe now, big problem. There was an issue about Syrians who had come to Germany and filed for the right to stay there, on whatever basis
Asylum,
it
yeah.
was. Yeah, asylum. And up till now, the government hasn't been very sympathetic to that, but she announced today that she would let them stay in Germany while their applications were pending. And the crowd went wild. I mean, everybody loves her for that. Germany has been very kind, I think.
Yeah.
I remember hearing only a month or two ago about a program in Germany for homeless. And a lot of them are migrant homeless, not the kind of people you'd like to have in your house because they could be terrorists you don't know, or they could be angry. But Germany has a program. It's like a foster children kind of program where the government pays you to have a migrant, a homeless migrant, in your house, living with you.
Wow.
And you feed this person, and you take care of this person, and so forth. And retired people like that, gives them some company,
Yeah.
whatever. It makes them feel like they're doing the right thing. And they interviewed a couple of these families that were doing that. And it's wonderful that you could go out to the public, and for a few bucks, I don't think the money was that important.
Yeah.
For a few bucks, we could get people to do things that were really kind. Say to myself, we don't do that in this country. And maybe that's partly this, the solution to the problem. Is there's nothing so nutritious as living in an existing home.
Yeah.
And if it has to be a foster home, fine. We don't do that, and that goes again to the larger problem. So what happens if the person who is either a veteran or homeless gets hit? He gets assaulted, like sometimes happens.
Yeah.
You going to represent him?
Well, we're edging into the criminal area. So for the assault cases,
he's the victim.
Oh, he's the victim. He's the victim. Well, that's the prosecutor's office. So we want to make sure that if they do come to us, that
Tort case.
so tort's not one of those areas
he
we
busted my
covered.
jaw. I want to be compensated for my busted jaw.
Personal injury cases typically can be fee generating, and I know a lot of attorneys who do those cases do it on a contingency basis.
Yeah.
So typically for personal injury cases, we refer those out to the lawyer referral service to hopefully they can get an attorney to represent them on a contingency basis or on a lower rate. One of those areas, not something that we cover, but if someone were to come to our door, and we've had college students come to our door saying, "Oh, I was hit by a car on a bike," but we just make sure that they're given the right referral to the right place and let them know that, hey, talk to the attorneys, call all the attorneys that they provide to
They
you.
don't work We'll give you another list.
Yeah, and I tell them to call all of them and make sure that you talk to them through your problems and and see if any of them would be willing to take it up on a contingency basis. Because for those personal injury cases, that's typically how it will go. And depending on the merit and the medical records, some attorneys out there in the community may be willing to pick up one of those cases.
Okay, you've been with them a couple of years. You've seen clearly from this discussion, you've seen all the corners of how this works. You've seen the issues in the coverage, the relationships, the way you deal with people who are disadvantaged. Is this a career for you, Justine?
I love what I do. I mean, coming out of law school, I can't remember what I wrote my law school essay, the entrance essay about, but I'm pretty sure it was about doing something good and helping people. And I love what I do. I mean, I wake up and really enjoy going to work and being able to serve the clients that I do serve. And if I can help someone, that's great. It's a great feeling. And not many attorneys out there can say that about their profession.
Oh, no,
so
that's true.
I feel very lucky that I am in this organization and helping those that I do help. And, every day is different, whether I come to a show like this today or I'm doing outreach in Waianae or flying to Maui or Hilo to do outreach or direct services.
It's doing good.
It's doing good, and it's a great feeling to be able to help the people of our state. It really is, and I see it in their faces. One great story of when we went out to Waianae, I mainly do a little bit of estate planning is where my area of expertise is. So we were out in Waianae, and I met with a client who had never left Waianae, and I want to say 13
In
years.
their lives.
In like the last 13, 15 years, he had not left Waianae. Him and his wife had adopted their grandson because of the mom had some drug issues, and his wife passed away recently, and so he's now a 60-some-year-old man with a single child and didn't have an estate plan. Just went through probate for his wife and wanted to make sure that his son didn't have to go through that with him.
So it was easier on the second passage, yeah.
So we, were able to help him draft his will for him, make sure that the provisions were in place that if anything were to happen to him, his will named a guardian for his son, and made sure that everything was taken care of if anything were to happen to him. And that was a great feeling to be able to go out into Waianae and help someone that otherwise probably wouldn't have come to our services if not us going to them.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a weight that was lifted off of his shoulders.
Yeah, well, and also it bonds him up to the son. Mm-hmm. It makes for a more robust feeling of family.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it was a good, and then I met the client. We brought the client into our office in downtown to have him actually execute his will with one of our volunteer attorneys. And it was his first time in town in, I want to say 13, 15 years. And he showed up, his appointment was at 11. He showed up at 9 o'clock, and he was happy to wait until 11 o'clock to his appointment. And his son was a great sport. He, took a couple walks around the block, got some more money for the meter. It's just a great story of us being able to help people. And that's why I love my job. That's why I keep coming to work every day. It's a great place to work. It really is.
I think I have my answer. That's Justine Herrera. She's an attorney. And let me add that she came to this talk show very early and waited. Must be something in the water. She's with Volunteer Legal Services here on Aloha United We Stand, talking about equal access to legal services, a real contribution to our community. Thank you so much, Justine.
Thank you for having me.
Aloha.
Aloha.